All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I'm doing a series of video presentations based on the PowerPoint slides that come with Murach's JavaScript and jQuery 4th edition. I've completed the Section 1, just the first chapter of Section 2, and I just decided to jump into Section 3. I'm in the middle of Chapter 15, How to Work with Arrays, Sets, and Maps. All right, and I think we're up to this test scores application. Let's take a look. There it is. All right. Now, what happens here? Well, let's just take a look. First of all scores, every time I add a score, this should just keep getting bigger, right? Average score, well, right now, this is 92 plus 89 plus 82 plus 97 divided by 4, right? So this, 181, 263, 360 divided by 4 is 90. Makes sense. The last three scores, 97, 82, and 89. So we're putting them in at the end, and we're showing them from the end to the start. And for the average here, so let's just say we put in 100 next. So let's say we put in 100 right here. All right, so boom, we've got 100. We click Add Score. The 100 should go right here. This should now be 460 divided by 5, so this will change to 92. And this will have 100, 97, and 82. And 89 will now be plopped off, so to speak. All right, so as always, here is the HTML that goes with it. And I'm not spending any time on HTML now because that was the first half of the class. All right. And again, this is one way of doing this. So notice we're pushing to put this onto the end. All right, we're joining to display all the scores. We're reducing, so calculate and display the average score. We're doing a slice to just grab the last three scores. So it's a great example because it allows us to use a lot of the stuff that the book is talking about. Okay. All right. Split, as it says, is a string method that creates an array. When you split, you've got to have something that you can split on. In the full name example right here, this is one string. If you split it on the empty space, it'll now be an array with 3 elements. That's the 0th element, the 1 element, the 2 element. All right. Here they're using hyphens as a split. And then they are changing them. So they're grabbing it and they're splitting it by that. And then they're doing a join. But instead of using hyphens, they're using forward slashes. Now, we looked at replace as one of those methods too earlier. That's another way you could do it. There's always a multiple number of ways of doing the same thing. Here we are grabbing and we're taking Grace Hopper and we're splitting it into what? We're treating it like it's a character array. The 0th element, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Since it starts with 0, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. So that's the length. There you go. All right. And again, there's, they're going through this if you want just a single element. There's a lot of ways that you can work with this stuff. Okay? All right. 4 ways to make a copy of an existing array, Call the slice method. Pass the array to the static from. Destructure the array with the rest operator. And use an array literal with the spread operator and the array. Now, hopefully they're going to show each one of these. It used to be if you wanted to make a copy, what you had to do was you had to use a for loop and literally create a brand new array and then just copy everything an element at a time. Not that that was so terrible, but it could be could take a little bit of time if it was a real large array. So here they're doing it with a slice. Here they're doing it with the from. Here they're using destructuring, ... meaning this can be of any size. And here they're using it the other way, where they've got the ... names and we're copying it. So here we're, so this is destructuring with rest, and this is array literal with spread. Now you can have an associative array in JavaScript. This again is one place where if you go back to where I showed you before on this, it said, wherever it was, JavaScript does not support associative arrays. That's wrong. It does support associative arrays. All right. And technically, maybe the example they're showing here kind of mimics that, but to my knowledge, JavaScript does support associative arrays. Why would you want to use an associative array? What's the advantage? Well, in this example, I don't know if there's a lot, but the example that I give is, let's say that I create an array and I call it Midwestern states. And I'm going to put 4 states in there. I'm going to put in Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri. All right, those are just 4 that came to mind. All right, so I could say states 0 equals Iowa, states 1 equals Wisconsin, etc. Wouldn't it be better to have the name of the array states there, and then to have WI equal Wisconsin, IA equal Iowa, MO equal Missouri, etc.? That's to me why the main reason that you would use this. It's not, I'm not saying it's the only reason, but I'm saying I think it would be the main reason that you'd use it. It makes your program that much more self-documenting. All right, and you'll notice here that's when they're grabbing all the stuff. You can use, as it says, a for-in loop with an associative array. All right, how to create and use an array of arrays. Most people would call this a 2-dimensional array. All right, why? Because students 0, 1 would be this, oops, right here. All right, so that's an array, and this is an array, students. And maybe this is the scores of the first student, the scores of the second student, the scores of the third student, and the scores of the fourth student. So 0, 1 is 82. 2, 3 is 100. But technically that is what it is. It's an array of arrays. All right, we're going to have to spend some time and go over several examples of like spread and rest and some of these other things that are in here, because it probably won't make a lot of sense until we do. All right. Oh, good. We're doing good for time. All right, we've got about around 20 more slides in here. So the next thing to talk about is JSON. And you'll notice there's stringify and there's parse. All right. When you stringify, notice what it says. It returns a JSON string for the specified object or array. Why is that important? It's important because sometimes you will have information returned, for example, maybe from like MongoDB, the NoSQL database, that you can't read in a regular editor. But if you stringify it and you turn it into JSON, you can. When you go the other way, it's a parse. So what have we done here? Take a look at the example. Create an array of arrays that stores 2 tasks, rather. So you've got an array called tasks, and for the first one, you push onto it another array that the first element is finished current project with a date, and the second element in that array is another array element, get specs for next project. So to convert those to JSON, again, you use stringify. And there's a good reason why you'd want to do that, so you can save them to web storage. Okay, and that's what you're going to end up getting. When you go the other way and you get it from web storage and you want to convert it into an array, for example, that's when parse comes into play. All right. So what have we added onto here? We've added a due date. Previously, we had the task and just the add task and the clear tasks button. Now we've got a due date as well. And you'll notice, what are we doing here? Here is where we're adding it to local storage, but we're using the JSON.stringify. All right, when we're doing that. All right, the last thing that's discussed in the chapter, about the last 10 or so slides, talk about sets. All right, and it says if you want to create a set, this is how you can do it. So we've got a set here, and it's got Grace, Charles, and Ada. And you look at that and you go, it's just an array. No, it's a set that was created from an array. So why would you want to use this? Well, as it says, some of the stuff that's available in set is not available in a straight array, such as values and keys. All right. So if you want to check to see if a value is in a set, notice that there's a has. All right. So here you're saying, is Grace in there? And is Linus in there? Well, Grace is in there, but there's no Linus. How to use a set to remove duplicates from an array. All right. So you created this new set that's called dupe array, and then you run no dupes on it, and you do an array.from, and it removes any duplicates that are in there. That was a set. Here is a map. All right, the last 4 or 5 slides in the chapter. Again, it looks very similar to where we just created a set. Notice the bottom one, a statement that creates on a map rather, from an array of arrays. Some of the stuff that you can do in here, very similar to sets. So, you come in here and you say this. What is the difference between a JavaScript set and a JavaScript map? And you'll get something like this. Your definition of map is right, but a set is a collection of unique values, unlike an array which can have duplicates. A map isn't created with literal object syntax. All right, so jump up over here to Stack Overflow, and that's where they came up with that. Now, you want more? What is the difference between a map and an array? What is a set and a map? Map, a collection of keyed values. Set also has key values. But again, I think the biggest difference is that sets are not supposed to have duplicates and maps can have duplicates. And that's pretty much it, for this chapter. All right. So that finished up 15, which means the only one I have left in this section is 16. Longer chapter and it's on objects. And I'll be back with that shortly.